Hello, my name is Eric Patterson, and this is the Religious Freedom Institute's 3 Questions on Ukraine interview series. At the Religious Freedom Institute, we work to secure religious freedom for everyone, everywhere around the world. The purpose of the 3 Questions on Ukraine interview series, in the context of the ongoing conflict there, is to increase understanding of the religious dynamics of the region and the many dimensions of religious freedom in Ukraine. My guest today is Jaraslow Lukasik, who was born in Poland, lived and worked in Belarus for many years, and actually was kicked out of Belarus, accused by the neo-communist regime there of being a national security threat for his faith and for sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. He was deported in 2008 and since has lived and worked in Ukraine. In 2016, he was invited to join the Central Steering Committee of the 500th anniversary of the Reformation in Ukraine. Several years ago, he also co-founded the Eastern European Leadership Forum, which he leads this time. Jaraslow, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I can say good evening, but I know in Washington, D.C., there is time of lunch.
That's right. Today's March 8th, 2020. And tell us a bit about your organization and how your organization is responding to the crisis.
Yeah, so I am a president of Eastern European Reformation Foundation, and our purpose is to help church to understand times and respond for need of times, need of history. So we do various projects focused on helping Christians to be active in social life, in public life, to be effective in public life. So therefore, it's a leadership forum or some media projects like Christians for Ukraine, or there is some ministry in universities. So we organize different discussion clubs, worldview clubs in different Ukrainian universities. And recently, when epidemic started, we started online. It's not only online, but generally online project, Christian Open Academy. Christian Open Academy that, by the way, take part during 1 year and a half, 750 Christian leaders from Ukraine. So Todd Heisinger, by the way, he gave us great lectures within Christian Open Academy. So when the war started, we decided to organize a network, to help organize a network between churches and Christian organizations and people that can help Ukraine. So people from Eastern Poland, from Ukraine, people from other European countries, not only European, but countries from West, they gather it together, and we work in 2 directions. So one direction is from, we can say, from east to west. It's help for refugees. So we have really a so big stream of refugees. Today, Polish border crossed almost 120,000 people just in one day, only one day, from Ukraine. So so our volunteers work with refugees in Western Ukraine, in Eastern Poland, and giving them any help, just physical help, giving them shelter, organizing food, organizing psychological aid or spiritual aid. So people are really very open for God, open for gospel, by the way. So another type of activity, or volunteers, courageous man, go to dangerous places and take people out, especially children, especially invalids or families from helping with evacuation. Another type of we help with some distributing of food or medicine or essential items for daily life. So in Ukraine, we can say there is humanitarian crisis, especially in some places like Kiev, like Kharkiv, like Eastern Ukraine, Mariupol. It's people need food. People have not petrol. People have not medicine. So and every day is what we can say is worse and worse because economy doesn't work, and war is more brutal with every day. So this is a need. Also, our journalists start to work with Polish legal organization or the juris, and with monitoring of war crimes. So we just starting to do this. So we are preparing for making interview with people who saw such a situation, and so I believe it's very important to record right now when all the situation is fresh, and to make some systematic all these testimonies of criminal or war crimes that are happening in Ukraine.
Well, thank you for mentioning RFI Senior Fellow Todd Huizinga, who's a close friend for you and for us, of course, as well. But I'm very inspired by these stories of how people motivated by their faith are going towards the threat, like you said, to save invalids, to save children, to provide humanitarian relief, but also to document war crimes and atrocities. And it's not only people of faith, but it is often people of faith who are the first ones when there's a crisis to get there to try to help out, actually before military gets there, just to provide relief. And long after militaries leave, it's often people of faith manning the orphanages, the clinics, and so many of these other vital services. Let me ask you this. You mentioned more than 120,000 people, refugees, crossed into Poland today. So you are seeing things that perhaps we in the West are not. Tell me, what is something about this conflict that you think that perhaps people outside the country don't understand? What do you think that we need to know?
I think people in the world don't understand all this region between Russia and Poland. It's some terra incognita, we can say. So two nations, Belarusians and Ukrainians, are not in conscience of majority of people in the world. People name this territory Russia. It's Russia, but it's not. They are independent countries and nations. They are absolutely different that Russians are. But we can say that during many centuries, these nations, let's talk about Ukraine. Yeah, let's focus on Ukraine today. So Ukrainians were under Russian pressure. So it was not free country. So therefore, this national identity is developing right now. We see this during last decades, how nation is creating. So especially and Putin and people in his environment, I mean, all this old KGB, let's say, group, they hate Ukraine. Putin wrote essay when he wrote that Ukraine doesn't exist, such country, doesn't exist such nation. So therefore, this war is for destroying this nation and making just one Russian nation, one empire. I think many people, especially in the West, but in the East, the same. They forgot Soviet Union, and they forgot the spirit of communism. They forgot that on Russians' streets and squares, until today, we have monuments of Lenin, of Dzerzhinsky, or other communistic leaders, and people believe in communism. So if people believe in all these things, it is very natural that in one day, the spirit want to act as he acted during many decades. So we see this today. So this war is just, we can say, all this spirit of Russians aggression during Tsar's time, and together with this spirit of communism is released and make such horrible things. I think many people in the West, they see Russia with some naive sentiments. It's great to read Dostoevsky or Tolstoy. It's great to hear, to listen to Tchaikovsky music. I like it. It's great. Painters, Russian painters say it's great culture, Russian, but unfortunately, Russian political culture, Russian political model is there are not place for freedom, and we see just several last weeks, we see how Germans, how French people, how other European countries, they see Russia in other way. So I believe we don't need to live in utopia. So again, first, we need to see Russia and processes that happened there realistic. I don't think that somebody need to think about Russians in bad way. No, they're great people, really great nation. But unfortunately, the political culture there is make dangers for other nations, especially for neighbors. It's one thing. Another thing, we need to see that between Russia and Poland, there are other nations that have rights for existence, for independence, for freedom. And we see this so great determination in Ukrainian nation, Ukrainian army, in Ukrainian men, in Ukrainian women to fight for freedom. So I think people in the world, they saw all this determination, and they start to respect Ukraine, and they start to support Ukraine. They feel a great empathy to Ukraine today. So we need to study what is Ukraine, what is the history, what is all this developing. If we do this, and also Belarus, because I believe that Ukraine, that all this conflict finish with victory. I see that Ukrainian army is not, the Ukrainian army can defeat Russian army. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. The Russian army has not progressed during many days. Do you see this? And Ukraine received great support from world. Sanctions can really disturb Putin in the realization of his plans. So when it happens, we will see another nation. We will see Belarusians. Many people maybe in Northern America, they don't know about existence of such country like Belarus, a Belarusian nation, but it's nation about 10 million people that also need to have freedom and independence. And especially in 2020, we saw a lot of demonstrations that really majority of people were against this dictator that's, I don't remember how many years, since 94, he is one president, the first and the last president of Belarus. So we will see another revolution, and maybe it will be not easy to be independent, but it's yeah, it's a very difficult time, but I believe all this finish with a great victory of freedom and democracy.
Well, this has been very inspiring, and let me ask you one final question for this series, and that is, could you tell me just a little bit more about the way that religious people are working together, even across denominational lines? Of course, that isn't true in every country. It's not true in every place, but whether it's from Maidan or recently, it appears that religious networks, that people are reaching across, Catholics and Protestants, Jews and others working together. Could you tell us just a little bit more about what you're seeing there?
Yeah, it's, by the way, I just remind that when in 2002, in summer 2002, David Wilkerson came to Kiev. He said openly on stadium, he said such words: "I never saw such divided church as in Ukraine." He said such words. He is very
David Wilkerson, a
not,
great evangelical evangelist, yeah.
Yes, and he said that he never saw such divided church. But in 2017, for example, churches united. So we had 30 denominations working together for celebration of Reformation. And maybe it was the biggest celebration of Reformation in the world, in this Orthodox post-communistic country. But people during 1 year and a half, even in towns, in villages, working together, giving testimony for the society, for elites. So churches united. We had, since 2016, every year we have a big gathering when 8,000-9,000 of people gathering in a Palace of Sport, and it's a prayer for Ukraine. In Ukraine work a council of churches and Christian organizations that work every week, and together Christians for different denominations, Jews, other people that meet together, and they do all this policy that they see that God is wanted to do. So it's many aspects really that we see in Ukraine differently than it was 20 years ago when David Wilkerson came to us. So and now, especially during this war, also there is several chaplain organizations, that Christian chaplains, Orthodox, Catholics, Protestants, work together, helping people, helping army, soldiers. So it's a great work with. Again, I can tell about this courageous man that go to danger places. We're helping with evacuations, and in churches, not only in Western Ukraine, but all over Ukraine, churches are as shelters for people during this war. And as, for example, in this distributing of food or medicine, it is creating really very good logistic, I see, because we make monitoring always where are the biggest needs. So so all this work. So we cannot say that even in Kiev or in Mariupol or in Kharkiv, people die from food. So there are danger people that distribute all these things, and I know as they as really believers, people who are devoted to God and loving people. So it's a time for heroes. It's time for heroes, really.
Well, on that note, it's very inspiring. It's a time for heroes, and I think that the people who watch this, as well as other videos in this series, are being inspired by these testimonies of faith and of courage. At the Religious Freedom Institute, we work to protect and to advance religious freedom, and we recognize the many, many ways that people live out their faith, and to do that freely, whether it's in a society like ours right now, where very typically people can pray or they can meet in absolute peace and safety, or in a situation like in Ukraine, where people are making choices compelled by their faith to demonstrate compassion for their fellow man, to give, to try to protect, to help evacuees, to provide this military service of the chaplaincy that Jaroslaw mentioned. This is all very important. So Jaroslaw, thank you very, very much this late evening for you, for taking some time to share about what's really happening on the ground there. And we thank you for your testimony during this very difficult time. May God bless you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody who watch us today. Thank you for your compassion, for your love, for your support. It's really great to see all this love that the people in different countries give to Ukraine in these days. Thank you very much.